Hey guys, how you going? This is BillyEatWorld, and today I want to show you an interesting control setup I've been trying out lately on the PC. People always argue about whether a mouse and keyboard is better than a controller for gaming, but I think what people forget is that the mouse and keyboard aren't a mutually exclusive pair. When I got back into PC gaming last year, the first thing I remembered was how much I love using a mouse, but on the other hand, how much I hate using a keyboard. I think this played a big part into why I ultimately stopped playing PC, so I thought to myself, hang on, maybe I can combine a mouse and a controller somehow. Now, I'm sure someone is going to jump into the comments and tell me that this setup has already been thought of, but I haven't really heard of anyone else doing it, and I'm guessing most of you guys haven't either. Basically, what I tried was holding the controller in my left hand to control movement, sort of like a Wii nunchuck, while still using the mouse in my right hand to control my aim. I was trying this out with the PS3 controller using an app called Motion Enjoy, but I'm sure it'd probably work just as well or even better with an Xbox 360 controller. The 360 controller is probably a little bit easier to grip with one hand, but that being said, the PS3 controller wasn't that bad, and it probably would have been even better if I had have been using a silicone sleeve. Now, obviously I was trying this setup out with BF4, so here's a picture of my mouse and controller so you can see what I've changed. Basically, I'm using almost the default settings for the controller, and really the only changes I've made were to the mappings of my mouse buttons, which incidentally is a death out of 2013. Your own mouse might be a little different, but most gaming mouses have at least 2 extra buttons on the side, in addition to the 3 normal buttons and the scroll wheel. This means that you have 7 separate settings that you can change, which is fortunately the exact amount of controls as you'll find on the right hand side of a PS3 or Xbox 360 controller. So as you can see, on my mouse my 2 main buttons are dedicated to fire and spot, which are the 2 controls I probably use the most when I'm playing BF4. Some of you PC guys are probably thinking, but hang on, how do you ADS? Well, like I said, the controller is pretty much standard, so you actually aim down sights with the left trigger like you do on console. As for the rest of my mouse buttons, the side buttons I've mapped to reload and jump, the middle mouse button I've mapped to crouch, and the scroll wheel I've mapped to weapon select. Also, you'll notice I haven't mapped melee to a mouse button, so as you can see I've put it over on the select button of the controller because I don't tend to use this control too much anyway. So the question is, why the hell would I even bother to use this setup when I have a perfectly good gaming keyboard to use? Well, you see, the main difference is that the keyboard doesn't have an analog joystick, and you'd be surprised how much that full 360-degree control improves movement. Also, as a console player, I tend to strafe into targets to help my aim, and this is one thing that the hard on-off control of a keyboard doesn't really help with. Also, controlling vehicles with a mouse and keyboard can be pretty difficult too, so with this setup all you really need to do is switch your right hand from the mouse back to the controller and you're good to go. Now, in terms of efficiency over a keyboard, well, you'd think the controller would give you a disadvantage because you're only using 3 fingers to control buttons and not 5 like on the keyboard. The fact is though, on a keyboard at least 3 fingers are dedicated to controlling movement, and at the end of the day you're still only left with 2 free fingers. When you're using a keyboard, usually these 2 fingers are used for jump, sprint and crouch, and you'll need to take your fingers off your movement keys for pretty much everything else. You can map some of those extra functions to your mouse, but with your average FPS mouse there's still going to be a few that you can't map, and the controller will end up being more efficient overall. So for any of you guys out there who are still skeptical, honestly I'd recommend giving it a try because there really isn't any reason not to. As you can see, the controller is for a lot of reasons more efficient, and as long as you're willing to play around with button mappings you should be able to make it work for you. It is a bit weird to get used to at first, but once you get the right grip, it's really not that hard, and like I said, it may even be easier with something like a 360 controller. All in all though, I know it kind of sounds stupid, but I wouldn't be making this video if it didn't work for me, so if you've got an old controller lying around, do yourself a favour and try it out for yourself. But anyway guys, let me know what you think about this control setup, and as always, if you like what you see, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. Also, check out the links in the description below if you want to see more of my videos, or if you'd like to support my channel on Patreon, and until next time, see you later, and have a good one.